Welcome back to the show. Dr. David Klein of the Stages of Life Institute. Here we are on Black Friday. That's right. Everybody's out shopping, and I know that between stops you're listening, and I hope you're listening this hour, especially to the Rob Newton Resource Hour. Great conversation coming up with Dr. David Klein, and I'm going to kind of open up a can of worms right now. You look at TV. You open up some of the even more prestigious magazines. You go online. And in those little columns to the right of your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever, where they always stick the ads of things you've Googled before, all of a sudden there's some very miraculous, let's call them, medical offers out there that I'm going to be dropping a whole lot of pounds very quickly, or I'm going to get over diabetes, or they're going to help me with whatever disease I've got. They're going to help me where the medical industry says they can't. What is going on here, and how come we're letting these claims for some of these medicines we see on TV, some of these doctors we see on TV, some of these claims on the midday talk shows? Who isn't regulating that?
Well, they're supposed to be regulating it, and that's the sad fact. They're not, and you guys, you people, you listeners are going to get hosed on this one also. Well, let's start with the claims that you can lose. Well, how does it go? 40 pounds in 40 days, no medications, no dieting really, no hunger, no shots, no this, no that. No brains is what I really have to call. It works a little something like this. It's called a franchise. If you drive around the country, you hear all the same claims from all the local they're not really doctors, but they claim to be doctors doing these franchises. This is a franchise deal, and it goes back to a fellow by the name of Simeon, who described a diet in the 1950s which kind of emulated the concentration camp. It went something like this: 500 calories a day, and that's all you get. Now that you know the secret, keep your money in your pocket. If they're going to sell you one of these water wands, take a pinch of baking soda, throw it in your water, and you now have magical water to drink all day long. And you just saved yourself a bunch of money. Well, why does this work? Well, it really doesn't work. People have been doing these yo-yo dietings for years. When people gain weight, there is an underlying reason, but it has very little to do necessarily with absolute calorie count. It has more to do with the fructose content, that's corn syrup, sugar content, and soy content. You do that, you're going to fatten cattle. It's been known for hundreds of years, and you too will be fattened. Well, okay, enough about the dieting. Okay, nobody wants to diet this time of the year anyway, although you really should. Diet really comes from the Greek root for discipline, not denial. So what are we going to look at? Well, the most recent one, this is the one that really fried my toast, okay, was this one done by a Dr. Hawkins, also a chiropractor, by the way, in Texas, where they're claiming now that they can cure diabetes with no shots, no medication. You can keep your fingers, you can keep your toes, ... But it's also utter absolute nonsense. Diabetes is a disease that's caused by insulin resistance, not by production of insulin, but by the way the insulin is recognized by the cell. So you have to fix the underlying issue. And again, that's almost always a fructose problem. Why? Because fructose goes to the liver, it gets laid down as glycogen, you immediately develop fat. So get away from the high fructose corn syrup and start taking your minerals, oddly enough, and then guess what? The diabetes are going to start to work.
Now, we have a lot of people out there listening right now that they say, the doctor's telling me to cut down on high fructose. What is where are they getting it?
Okay, high fructose corn syrup was introduced as a sugar substitute. Okay, so it's used as a sweetener. When you pick up a beverage, okay, they almost always throw a ton of high fructose corn syrup into it. Look at your granola bars. Okay, high fructose corn syrup. Corn, by the way, has really received tremendous favorable treatment by the government. They have to find a place to put it. It's not suitable in Europe because it's considered to be cattle feed, but in this country, we suck that stuff down. If you look at the side box on your prepared foods, you'll be shocked at the amount of high fructose corn syrup that's put in there. So you need to get this stuff out of your diet.
Is that addictive?
It's highly addictive. The joke is that there's laboratory data to suggest, okay, that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Okay, so if you think that eating those M&Ms, just like 2 or 3 M&Ms is going to stop right there, forget it. Don't even start. These sugars are highly addictive. They hit the brainstem. It kicks out something called dopamine, which, by the way, makes you even more hungry. So what does it do? It makes you more hungry. So then intelligently somebody will go, well, I take 0-calorie sweeteners. Well, Einstein, it works something like this. The non-caloric sweeteners fool your brain into thinking that you need more insulin, which lays more fat down, which is kind of why these diet sodas are every bit as bad as the ones that contain the fructose. So you got to get the sweetener mentality out of your brain. Drink your coffee without sweetener. Drink your tea without sweetener. It works just fine. Everything else in moderation. I try to limit my carbs to fewer than 40 grams per day. If I can do that, I'll lose weight. If I do above that, I will gain weight, and so will you. Save your $1,500 because they won't tell you how much these programs cost. There you go. Keep your money in your pocket and get better on your own.
It just seems like claim after claim after claim, and it's oftentimes by the same sort of franchise method, it seems like.
Well, yeah, it's a marketing deal. That is what it's all about. If you want to be a sucker, go for it. I mean, somebody has to pay for those ads. My God, it's an industry in and of itself. Frankly, if you really need to look under the hood on these things. You'll spend more time investigating a refrigerator than you will your own health care, and that's an unfortunate reality here. Well, what are the other little claims that you see out there? Go on television, you'll see these ads for these fancy heating pads, okay? These little arc heaters. You can treat your arthritis because some semi-famous football player tried it, and by the way, is getting paid a lot of money to be on television to do it. And then they sell the heck out of these things because they're made in China for about $3 anyway, and then you never see them again. That lifetime warranty is worth about 8 cents because that's what the paper it's on's worth.
Are the magnetic bracelets of any use? I mean, that is a fad. It's still around.
It's going to be around. There are people that believe that magnetic fields have all kinds of interesting properties. Well, between you and me, I'm not really sure. Okay, I don't think wearing a magnetic bracelet's going to do any damage to you. I don't know if it's going to do any harm to you. But you stick yourself into one of these MRI units where you take every hydrogen atom in your body and make it spin on its axis 60 million times per second. I don't know that necessarily ends well for you. So what do I think about magnetism? I think that deep brain stimulation is very, very good. It takes a high-intensity magnet to do it. I'm not so terribly sure that these little pieces of jewelry are going to do any good at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like there's so many things, especially flea market bound, that when you get there, they've got all this stuff. You talked about the arch. I've seen that in a number of places. I mean, there's a lot of claims on paid TV, especially late at night,
when
that
it's
you
cheap.
kind of wonder about. Yeah,
Well, use your common sense for these things. Heat is a marvelous modality to treat pain. So what do? You use not a heating pad because they can burn. What you do is you use these thermal, like these gel packs. And what you do is you heat them up, you slap it on under a towel, and then it's continually cooling, so it's not necessarily going to be hot enough to burn your skin. It works very, very nicely. Take good care of yourself. Don't waste your money on this nonsense. There are many, many things that you can do that will bring health and vitality to you, but they will, in fact, have some scientific basis behind them. So what are we talking about? We're talking about vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is one of those sorts of things that for many, many years was poo-pooed. Okay, well, 400 units is all you need because the Academy of Sciences says so. Well, it turns out that they weren't quite so right. The bearded gentleman in Washington, the IOM, were not so smart about this one. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It is a hormone. It's very, very necessary to be taken in pill form because, after all, we have learned here in Florida that skin cancers come from sunlight. So take the little tablets, $4 a month, but there are many other recommendations that can be made that you can actually research yourself, look at peer-reviewed articles, do your own reading, make yourself better. It is workable.
PubMD?
PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D. Now, you paid for this in your taxes. That's PUBMED.gov. And what you do is you start spending a little bit of time. And I spend 2 to 3 hours a day on this, and that's researching items, medicines, chemicals with reference to what's going on in the world in terms of research. So how do you treat, let's say, how do you prevent melanoma? Okay, here we are in Florida. You're new to Florida. Many of you are new anyway. Did you know that there's a medication that has been shown to prevent or reduce the risk of melanoma? Your doctor doesn't know it. Okay, it's called metformin. Go on PubMed. Look up do the Boolean search. Metformin and melanoma prevention. 3 to 4 articles will pop up. Now, there's no money in metformin. They give the stuff away. The research is not to be paid for. This is all being done by well-meaning individuals that know how to observe.
There you go. A great bunch of leads right here. And here comes Robin to the microphone, and that means one thing. How do we get a relationship going with the stages of life?
Well, check out our website, stagesoflife.net. It's full of lots of information. And give us a call at 407-679-3337. We're also on Facebook at Stages of Life Medical Institute. We are located in Longwood at 1917 Booth Circle. Our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and we invite you to come on in.